Hey, what's up? I'm Mike Squires, and this is Couch's Podcast, episode number 197. And my guest, Kendra Morris, killer singer, songwriter who fronts a soul band out of Brooklyn, New York. Also, an incredible visual artist, and she creates a lot of her own videos and some stop motion collage stuff. She runs an Instagram page called The Dead Phone 13, also worth following. And recently sang a Jeff Buckley song, Everybody Here Wants You, and totally owned it. So check out Kendra Morris Music to go down the rabbit hole of her music and art. And I hope you enjoy this conversation because I found it to be very inspiring. Made me think, shit, I could be doing more, and I'm doing stuff. So cut it out. Uh, if you are enjoying the Couchos podcast, please support us at Patreon, patreon.com/Couchos. It's the only place where you can download the audio, such as the Everybody Here Wants You song. Supporters there get previews of the videos, different surveys I'm taking over there, bonus content, some people who at different levels are going to get copies of my solo record. And so this will also go to support the label. So thank you so much for supporting already if you do. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing, commenting, all of the stuff. Thank you for all of it. I really appreciate it. Thank you to Variety Coffee Roasters in Brooklyn, New York. Speaking of Brooklyn, go to varietycoffeeroasters.com and take the survey there. They'll help you, they'll ask you a series of questions, help you get to the bottom of their menu and figure out what coffee is going to be best suited for your personal tastes in coffee. They have a great subscription service. You can sign up there. It'll automatically charge your credit card and send you coffee once a week, once every 2 weeks, or once a month. And it's also the only place, that website is the only place where you can get a Couchers coffee mug. They're $10. Or if you add that coffee mug to your shopping cart and buy 2 bags of coffee, when you go to checkout, use the code CouchRiffs and you get the mug for free. I'm not a math wizard, but free is a lot cheaper than buying a $10 mug. I love that. So thank you, Variety Coffee Roasters. Thank you for watching. You guys are great. You're great. All right. Don't forget the golden rule. Treat people the way that you want to be treated. And do your best to just not be an asshole. I can hear you.
Hi, can you see me?
I can see you. Who
Oh,
do you
nice.
got? Who's that with you?
Jerry.
Jerry. Oh, there's someone else there with you too.
Roger, come here, Roger.
Yeah,
Come here.
Jerry and Roger.
This
Of
is Roger.
course, of course. Here comes. Come here, guys. Come on. All right, fine. Come on. Come here. Are you just gonna hang out? You're just gonna stay on the floor. That's Mr. Big.
Oh, cute. Hi, Mr. Big.
The
With one
dog.
corner somewhere. There's a
Mr.
wee
Big.
top.
He is the smaller of the two, of course.
Oh,
How you doing? How's your weekend?
pretty good. I had a Halloween party on Friday night, so still kind of recovering from that.
What was your costume?
I painted myself pink and had like a big wig and a gold bodysuit, and I don't know. I just threw a bunch of stuff together, but everyone said it looked like Pink Barbarella, so I guess that was it.
Pinkerella. Nice.
How about yours? How was your weekend?
Oh yeah, yeah, fine. It's always a mad dash to get things done on the weekend.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Um, yeah, there are not enough hours.
I always say that there's not enough hours in the day. If I had one more hour, maybe I'd get a little more done in life. But
I in terms of, I have so many questions for you because when you and I first were talking, for some reason your iPad came up and you said that you did your stop animation stuff on there, and then I found because I was like, oh, I'm thinking about getting an iPad. You said, oh yeah, I got the new thing. It's great. I use it for this. And
Yeah.
then I saw the video that you made with the stop animation, and so I have a lot of questions about how much hands-on and DIY are you involved in as an artist?
I have lots of answers for you. But yeah, are we recording now
Oh
officially?
yeah.
Okay. For animation, I do that all myself. That's all DIY, 100% by hand. I don't use unless there's a little bit of video, like I'll use green screen sometimes. Like it depends on which video. Like I did a video for these guys, Sons of Yusuf, out in Kuwait, and uh, I did a lot of green screen with there was like these TVs like walking through the desert, and um and in the TVs was green screen, so then I added sometimes video with that. But for the most part, I'll do a little bit of post, maybe color correcting with Premiere, but
Yeah.
most everything is like by hand. Like I have a little workspace in Williamsburg, and I can control my lighting in there. So that's where I keep all my collage pieces, and I have like drawers of pieces, and I have magazines and different like textures and stuff. So that's all self-taught DIY. I've never had a like fancy setup because I don't think anything is about like the tools you have. It's just about the noodle, how you're
Yeah, sure.
so.
Yeah, the one video, the this life video that I saw that I know that you did
Yeah.
is incredibly creative. And if you didn't know that you made it yourself, no one would ever guess, and they would think this they would they would love it just for what it is. It's incredible, and
Right.
it's fun and entertaining. Cruises through. There's all these. The card thing is really cool and interesting, and I'm always thinking like, shit, that's a detail. Like that card had to be made just
Yeah.
for this clip.
Yeah, I had to I have like the cards taped up in my workspace now. But yeah, like actually I use the drawing program Procreate. Like I use that when you see like the neon
Right.
like cards flying through. I use this drawing program, and I figured out how to export that into my stop motion program frame by frame. But with the card, like I scanned in an actual card, and then I drew myself over the queen through layers. And then I have this crazy printer here that I invested in when I started getting really serious about the animation.
Hmm.
So I printed out the card, and then, glued it onto an actual card. So it became an actual card, and then just made three of them to do the different face movements, the winking, and yeah, it's always like I've always been like a person who's been curious, like, how can you do this, how do you get to this? And I'm not a no person. Like if someone's like, you can't do that, or I'm like,
Oh
I'll
yeah.
figure out a way, I'll do it my way. It might not be the way by the book or the way that like, but I'll find a way to do it, because that's like the funnest part of it is.
I don't like that shit either. I don't like to hear no or you
Yeah.
can't. So to give people an idea, how much time did you spend just making that card? Because it's a very small component of the video. However, uh, in the scope of how much goes into that, it'll give them an idea of how many hours you put into making a video.
Well, I feel like that whole video took about 6 weeks, but that card itself took. Well, it's weird because I work all the time because it's fun. Like it doesn't feel like work. So like, well, here's my iPad right here. Like I'll at the end of the night be like to like unwind, I'll be drawing at night. So probably I was drawing that card at bedtime or in the morning. Doing I'd say it took about a day to do it, an afternoon and a day, and to shoot the scene and
Right.
kind of to go into it.
And when you say 6 weeks, you mean 6 weeks, 40-hour weeks.
Yeah, just doing all the time, whether it's the animation or because I had to design the brochure too. Like I researched, like I like ordered went on eBay and went crazy ordering Vegas casino brochures and like all kinds of just like stuff from Vegas, like things to just really kind of. And then I also go into like old video archives online and found that found footage. So yeah, it's about 40-hour weeks, like just doing that, whether it's researching it or the animation or like design. Like I had to design my own brochure.
Right.
So it's like, building out like what's the brochure gonna look like? What are the like it's every thing about it. I had to like figure out, okay, like it was a really complicated video, and I had messaged a friend because when I first came up with the idea, I was like, how am I going to do this? I couldn't wrap my head around it, and it took a while, and then I just kind of dove in and was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to do it, and it's going to get made, and it's going to be whatever it is, and it's not going to be perfect, but I don't like perfect stuff, so I don't like anything perfect. I love mistakes in everything, whether it's music or art or a movie or anything. Like I think imperfection is my favorite thing about life.
Yeah, what's perfect?
It's perfectly imperfect.
Well, where are you from?
I was raised in Florida, in St. Petersburg, like Tampa Bay,
Oh, sure.
but I was born in Northern California,
Oh, where?
uh, Lodi.
I know where Lodi is.
Okay, one of the few. Yeah, I was born in Lodi, lived in Stockton until I was like 6, and
Uh-huh.
then St. Petersburg until I moved to New York.
I was born in Concord and I lived in Fairfield for a while.
Okay.
So it's all, I would call that North Central. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Where you're in Brooklyn now, or you're in New York area?
I'm in the Hudson Valley. I'm up just
Okay.
outside of Hudson. Yeah.
I knew it was somewhere like stone's throw. I knew we were somewhere near each other.
Yeah. Uh, but St. Petersburg.
Here we are.
Uh-oh, we got some freezing.
What's up?
Oh, you froze up a little bit there.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we.
Am I back?
Yeah. Uh, growing up in from 6 on St. Petersburg.
Hmm.
What was the music environment at home like?
My parents. I'm so grateful to their music collection. Hey, what's up, buddy? He's passed out. Um, he's looking at him. I'm really great. My parents are musicians. My dad plays guitar, my mom sings, and they always were in bands and stuff. And they had a great record collection. And I remember like that was the thing that exposed me the most to music that has kind of shaped everything that I love. Um, they had this case though, they had like old reggae, they had a lot of old soul. They listened to like War, Tower of Power. Then they'd have stuff like Foghat or like Jimi Hendrix. And I would just go through this crate and the Crosby, Stills and Nash, even like, because my mom has a great ear and I used to harmonize with her in the car. But I would just go through the crate and like put on the records, or like Saturdays was chore day and my parents would wake us up by blasting the spinners, and I'd like be like, that means I gotta go pick grapefruits off the ground or go weed. But you couldn't be too mad because it was Saturday and there was like great music going through the house.
You weren't
So
going to school.
yeah. So when I moved, when I got my first apartment, I like took all their records with me. I was like, they had gotten a new stereo, so I was like, well, they're not going to use these anymore, and I took them all. And
They were listening to CDs by then.
yeah, yeah. I was like, give me these. So that was like a big thing. And also just having, like, my mom has a beautiful voice, and we would go and pick up my little brother from school, and we'd sit in the car and like have a contest of like finding the different harmony. Like she'd sing and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna find this harmony. And we would just like dork out and harmonize together. Or like my dad and mom played in prisons for a while.
Oh,
They would do like a ministry and they'd go to all the prisons in Florida, and they had a band, and them and a couple of their friends would bring music to the prisons.
crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, is your brother a musician also? Does
Uh,
he?
no. Well, yeah, I have two brothers. One passed away, which like there's actually I've written about that in some music, but both of my brothers have always been like really smart and talented, but never like my little brother is more of like I always said he was the one with like just talented with people. Like he has the biggest heart, and he works with people a lot. Like his job, his talent has been in just reaching out to people and helping people. But he played drums for a little while.
Yeah.
He skateboarded, but he was sloppy at both. I was always like, "You're good, but you're sloppy at everything." And then my older brother was like one of those like genius type people. Like he could do anything and be amazing at it. And he'd touch something and know like he was a great drawer, he was a great painter, great, but he was also like forever like in trouble. Like he had like just a really, I think he was almost too like you know the saying like too smart for your own good. He was so smart but not wise. Just got into a lot of trouble. So I think he lived a hard life and that caught up with him unfortunately, and he passed away early. But I always was amazed at how like crazy talented he was, and even when he was young, teachers would be like, man, this kid is like he's so talented. He's got to be careful about like the crowds he's getting into. But he was almost like everything was boring to him because he could just do it.
Right. Public schools suck. I mean, they're
Yeah.
not they're not conventional education forms are not set up to allow everyone to thrive
No.
in their
I
life,
still I still
unfortunately.
have anxiety dreams. I failed math pretty much my entire life. Like through almost like I still have dreams that I didn't graduate high school because I couldn't get out of algebra. Like I'm like a math
Oh,
failure forever. And I still like think about that. Like I just couldn't I still like I'm still like I'll be at the store counting on my fingers. Like I don't know, I think I bought 3 oranges, but I
yeah.
ate one.
Yeah, I never really cared about impractical things at school either. I'm sorry about your brother.
Oh, it's okay. It was like the hardest thing one of the hardest things I ever went through, something I had never gone through before. And I used to always be like, I've never lost anyone. Like I felt, you know, so when it happened and so out of the blue, it was like, it's like it was an acute pain that I had like I never could have imagined what it was, and I was really close with him, and like daily I still sometimes wrap my head around existence and non-existence. Like how can someone be such a big part of life of your lifetime and to just like how do you just they're just gone like and it's something that I'm so grateful to. As weird as it sounds, like it's a piece of me. It added to who I am. I'll never, like I don't know. I worked through it through music. It got me through it, and I feel like also like I feel like now having gone through that, I've as we all get older, we all start losing people, and I feel like I had a friend when it happened. She just showed up at my door. She just said, I'm coming over because her mom had died at a young age or at a very like specific time, and she just said, I'm coming over. And I was just in shock. And to have her just come over, and she packed my suitcase to send me home. She was there. She took me for a massage. She was just like, and now I feel like I can do that. Like I wrote a song when he passed away. Like I worked for a month on a song. I quit my life to just be a part of that, like feel those emotions, because they're so, it's important to have them because it keeps you alive. And I wrote the song, and when I play the song, because I tried to put every single feeling I had into those lyrics. That's why it took so long to write it. But I do feel like even when I play that song, I always have someone come up to me who's like, man, I'm going through this, or I just went through this, and I needed that. I needed that right now. And that's why I feel like, it's just, I feel like I can be of some sort of service as well, having been there, so I can just show up at a friend's door sometime.
I think enough people have passed on in my life. I have a really weird relationship with death, and I think you touched on some of it, uh, kinda. And that is that you said your brother was still a part of you, and I just have this sense that it's sad when people leave, and I try to focus on being grateful that I even have the opportunity to miss them.
Yeah,
Because what if you never knew them? Then your life would never have been enriched in such a way.
totally,
Uh,
absolutely.
Did his creative energy and talent did did you did you feel motivated in any way to sort of fulfill that, or were you on your own trip by then?
I mean, I had always kind of been on my own trip, but he always inspired me. He inspired me so much. He was always showing me bands before I knew. He had a great ear, and he'd be like, checked out this band, or have you heard this song? This is a great song. And he had always inspired me, but I always like felt like I just wanted to like he wasn't, how there's just people in your life that are a fuel, like where you're like, I want to like do good for this person and like show them. And I remember one time he was in jail, and he heard me on the radio, on the local radio, and I was visiting him on the little TV, and
Yeah.
he was like, I heard you. I was like in my cell listening to, I think it was like WMNF, and he's like, I was listening and you came on, and like that alone, I was like, oh my gosh, like my brother gets to see like this, like the fruits of like the way he's inspired me, and the way, because we were just, was such a creative person. And I think I do feel like after he passed, it kind of, there was a few things that really have continued to light my fire to like work as an artist, whether it's, as a musician and as a visual artist as well. And like definitely like having his imprint on my life is one thing that has continued to fuel me. And also like becoming a mom was something that like fueled me in another way, because I had a lot of people that, it's so dumb, but people that thought I was going to quit. And I was like, why? Who started the rumor that you have to quit when you are gonna like have a kid or something? Like, who started this rumor? Like, because it's dumb, So there's just been a number of things that made me even more like, watch this.
How long ago was that? How old is your child?
She's six
That
and a half.
certainly that created some new hurdles for conventional music approach.
Oh, totally. Yeah, yeah. I was in the middle of like, I was with a European label at the time, and had just done like this huge tour in France, and was gearing up to do another tour. And it, I got pregnant. It was not like a planned thing. It was just like, oh, you know, and I remember I was like, just kind of like, I just was like kind of like baffled, like didn't expect this. But as someone who, I embrace like the hurdles that are thrown at you. That's part of life. Like, I really don't think it's about what is the finish line? What is success? Like, I think success is the journey you're living. So I was like, all right, well, I want to experience this. I think this is going to continue to make me continue to like put my notches on my belt of experiencing crazy things in my life. So um, I had to, I had to take a little tiny bit of time off because, I had an infant, but then that's what kind of got me really into doing video work. Suddenly I was homebound for a couple months, couldn't play any shows. So while she'd be napping, I was learning how to edit videos. I was like, well, I can't do a show, but here's my iPad, here's my computer, what can I do? So I started editing and doing projections. So when we started playing again, I had made all these live projections to put on the wall, and I had kept pushing myself with the animation at the time. And then before I knew it, I started also, I got like, I'm obsessed with time because it's the only, like, it's the only thing, it's like priceless. You can't like,
Is our one true commodity.
exactly, like there's no, it's the most expensive thing because you can't get it back. And so when I had her, I realized how precious time was because it wasn't my own time anymore. I had to share the time, and I had to, that's why I was like, when she'd take a nap, like most people will be like, a doctor will say, if your kid takes a nap, you should take a nap too. But for me, I'd be like, good, but I could also do this. And maybe that's the craziness in me. I'm a lot crazy, but I would just go work on something. And I'd be like, I'll sleep when I'm tired. Like, I don't need it. I don't want to take a nap.
I have a lot of weird compulsive time things that I deal with where if I'm driving home on my way home, I'll think, I'll be thinking about my route. What is the first of all, what's the fastest route or what's the fastest way to get my chores done? Like what order when I get home if I have 3 trips of things to take, I'll be thinking about how to it's really it's just maybe a little bit much. Where I'm thinking about, okay, I've got to take this to this room. I don't want to walk through one room 3 times. I'll take everything to this room once.
You know what? That's not, I do the same thing. That isn't, maybe we're both crazy because, yeah, I'll like clean the house and I'll like pick something up and I'll be like, okay, what else is going to go to I'll route my way around the house. Like, this sock goes here.
Did
Now
you
I'm going
ever
to fridge.
did you ever have a production job, any kind of job where I think
No,
that's where I
I feel like
learned that
I'm good
stuff.
at it.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
think
like
that
caffeine and
coffee will do it.
yeah.
So, growing up singing in the car and working harmonies out with your siblings and your mom, when did you decide when did you decide this is what I want to do? Was it just sort of unspoken, like you just sort of knew, or did you ever have other aspirations?
Looking back, it was all I ever, I feel like it was just always, if I go back to my early memories, I remember being like ripping off construction paper and going to, like, my parents would have a barbecue and I'd force people to give me money. And then I'd get up and be like, I want my big voice or my little voice. And like, I think I was like 4 then. Like, I just loved entertaining people, making people, like, I loved being on a stage, making
Wait a
people see.
minute, were you telling people if you don't give me money, you're going to get my little voice, and if you give me money, you'll hear my
No,
big voice?
maybe that could have. No, but I didn't have them a choice, and like I think that's really where I like developed. Maybe that's how I like unknowingly developed my voice. But yeah, I had this like, like vibrato, and I would like stand up on whatever tables I could find, and I was just always doing it. And then like I remember I got a karaoke machine for Christmas one. I got a ventriloquist dummy and a karaoke machine, which now I have, don't ask, I have like 6 dummies now.
That's great.
But the karaoke machine, I didn't do karaoke on it. Instead, I learned how to bounce cassette tapes and bounce vocals. And suddenly I was like, this is so cool. There's like three of me. So I started making tapes of like me with all my backup harmonies and would like loop stuff. And I just sit in my closet for hours just bouncing vocals on the karaoke machine. Or I also had a radio show called K101.5.
You put that in air quotes. Was it a
Yeah.
public radio show or was it a make believe thing that you would record at home?
Wow, I just made it believe at home.
Yeah.
No, no one would really want to listen to that.
So, eh, what I'm gathering is basically entertainment was you were entertainment bound.
Yeah, like, I was always either singing, never dancing. I'm a horrible dancer, like shit dancer still to this day. No one wants to see me dance. But yeah, always singing, making up songs, and drawing and like doing like I would like theme my bedroom and be like, this week I want a jungle room. So I cut things up and I'd like theme my one time I did Egypt room and I wrapped everything in toilet paper, you know.
And your parents were supportive of all this. They were cool with you being creative however you wanted, or
Yeah,
was that ever an issue?
it's actually funny. I was just telling a friend, this popped up in my, I found all these old tapes recently. I would make, like, I had a, do you remember Rent a Center?
Sure.
I remember begging, like, I think my grandpa was in town. I was like, will you take me to Rent a Center and rent me a video camera, please? Please, I have ideas.
Right.
So he did. He rented me this VHS camera, and then eventually ended up getting a little. I would make like weird movies. Like I had like shows. I would get in all these characters, but
Did you have one of those Fisher Price Pixel 2000s?
I don't think I did. I don't think I had that.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
They're fucking cool. They were video cameras made for kids, but instead of a VHS or beta tape, they recorded video onto a cassette tape.
Shoot, I want that now.
No, it looks kind of like a Super 8. They're so cool, and you get them for under $500
I'm
on
gonna
eBay.
probably be googling that.
I'll send you a I'll send you a link to the name. I'll just text you the name.
That would be awesome. That sounds great.
Really
No,
fast.
I was just thinking. I was telling a friend about that. I had while I had that video. You were asking about my parents being supportive. Well, it's funny, they were, and then I had like a friend over. It was like their friend's daughter, and I was like, "Do you want to make a movie with me?" And my parents and her parents were in the other room, and she's like, "Sure." So I put on BG Staying Alive and built a backdrop in my room, and I had us pretend we were dying hookers,
How old were you?
like 9.
Wow.
Like this wrapping our arms up and like and I found the video the other day and was like and I remember making my parents and her parents today and I was like look at the movie we just made and it's us, you know, doing like pretending we're in New York walking the strip and I take her into a back room and I throw money at her or she throws money at me and it was just like we're like 9-year olds.
Uh,
So I don't know. I don't know if they supported me that day.
I mean, they were preparing to visit you in prison, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something. Like
Wow.
what she's gonna do. But
Uh, Seems like it worked out okay for you.
I think so. Surrounded by these guys right now.
When did you finally start playing music with other people? Like, when did you start performing in front of a band? Were you in choir in school?
Well, I was in choir in school. I sang gospel in school. I went to an arts high school, and the guidance counselor kind of took me under his wing. And I sang in like a touring gospel group. Like I got to skip a lot of classes because we'd go and like sing gospel for the police
That's
station.
pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was really cool. And I got exposed to a lot of great music through that. And then um, after high school, I went to just like University of South Florida in Tampa. And flunked out of everything. But I joined a band. I was just like, it was
Those
like
two things go hand in hand.
yeah, yeah. My boyfriend at the time had friends who were in like the local like college band, and I was like, how can I become involved? And I was like, well, how can I become involved? And they were a kind of a rap rock band. This was around when there was like Linkin Park was, I was just like, I could sing hooks for you guys. So I started writing hooks and just showing up at all their college party shows. And that's when I flunked out of everything. Suddenly I was like, this is awesome. Like, I want to keep singing in bands. So then dropped out of college, moved back home, and started singing in cover bands. And
Is there a
then
good music scene there? Is there? I know I've played one show there in that sort of. I don't know if it's still there. It's sort of like a courtyard venue.
Janice Landing, maybe? Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's got to be Janice in St.
Uh,
Pete.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that place still does great shows. That's the spot. That's such a. I have so many good memories of that place. And it's still there. There's not so much a scene. I think that's why I left, because it's like you can just play yourself in circles there. And I felt like that's kind of what I was in cover bands for a while, and then I was like, got sick of it. I was like, I don't want to sing other people's music. I want to like make my own music. Then I was in a band with a boyfriend. That didn't go well. Not good at all. Ended bad. And then I was like, I'm not going to play with a boyfriend either. I'm going to pick up the guitar, learn the guitar, and start my own band. And so then I was like, I had this hairdresser, and I loved the way she did my hair. And I said, hey, I think I want to start a band. Do you play anything? And she's like, well, she was kind of angry, like she was cool, but like angry. She's like, well, I have a bass. I played it once. I was like, all right, you're in the band. And then I was like, let's go find a drummer. We go to like a bar. We're like looking around. Is this guy, you know any drummers? He's like, yeah, there's this girl. She's in the bathroom right now. I think she's a drummer. She's in a sorority. And I walk in, I find her in the bathroom. I was like, hey, you want to be in a band? Maybe quit the sorority, join the band. So then we had the drummer, and suddenly we sucked so bad, but we were just like excited to be just in control of we just started writing songs, and it was such a bizarre thing. And then
I'm
we,
catching a serious theme here so far in your life. That that is true to this day.
I can't wait to hear what the theme is.
Well, it just like you're not waiting around, you're doing it.
No, yeah, just doing. I don't have time. I don't know. It's the time thing. I gotta do this. So yeah, the band. Then suddenly we got a new bassist. The hairdresser bassist didn't work out so well.
Did she continue doing your hair?
What's that?
Did she continue doing your hair?
No. So I was also kind of a little. Had some rough hair phases after that for a while.
That's a drag.
And then got a new bassist, and we were like, let's go on tour. Met this guy who was like, I do sound. We're like, he had done sound one time for something. We're like, you want to go on tour? Grabbed this guy, and we toured up the East Coast, set it up all ourselves. Mostly the drummer set it up, and I was like, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. And then we got back, and we were like, let's move to New York. So we did. We sold all our valuables, hey Roger, and moved to New York, and then lived together in Williamsburg. This is 2004. So, we were going, I was crazy. I was early 20s, wild woman, bartending the East Village. And the band crashed and burned. Probably my fault. And the band broke up, everybody moved, and I was like, ah! But then I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna just write some more songs. And I found an 8-track at Rivington Guitars and just started from scratch, back to looping guitars on the 8-track, was in a had a closet. I lived in a loft in Bushwick and was back in a closet making music.
After the video, after the Couches video that you sang for Everybody Here Wants You, I got a message from Jimmy Carbonetti,
Jimmy!
and he was so excited,
Oh my
and
god.
sent me a bunch of pictures of you guys performing together.
Yes.
So was that your next band?
Yeah. Well, I was doing like some solo stuff and putting up these like lo-fi tracks on MySpace. And then yeah, I bartended for 13 years at the Library Bar in the East Village, which anyone who's played like Mercury Lounge or Bowery would usually come, and that's the spot. That's how I met like Tucker. Like so many great musicians I met through that. That bar was a catalyst. Sorry, this guy's kind of he's special. He's Roger.
He wants to be heard.
Yeah. But yeah, Jimmy came to library. He was drinking at library before he was 21. I didn't know. But him and Maddie Pickles would come in, and I don't know how. Like I was throwing these loft parties when I was living in Bushwick at the time, and I think he like gave me his card one night. It was like, Kendra, I'm in a band. Let's play some stuff together. And I was like, yeah. Or like Jeff, who's in Caveman with him. Jeff and I met back in St. Pete one night when he was in this band Elephant. They were touring with Interpol, and I wound up at the after party because Jeff had gotten me into the show. I met him on the side, and we just bonded as friends. You know, Jeff Burrell.
I don't.
He plays with Jimmy
Yeah.
in Man, but that was, I think, how I met Jimmy was because years later when I was living at, I pretty much working at library, this guy Jeff walked by the window, and I was like, hey, I know you. We met in Orlando after the Interpol show. And I was like, I'm here singing. I gave him a flyer. I was still in the girl band at the time. And so he was like, oh, let's write. And then I think he brought Jimmy into the library. And then, yeah, we were all like, we had this band called Torpedo. And we would rehearse on Ludlow Street under Earth Matters, which is like that health food place. And then we just had so much fun. We just had fun partying together and playing like crazy, like, I don't know. One time someone even gave us a pentagram. Like we played this loft party and I punched a guy in the face. This guy kept getting in my face. I was doing like a moment and I was like, bam. And he came up to me after, he's like, that was the best thing ever. You remind me of Pentagram. And I was like, whoa, awesome. You know, like I was just like, we were just kind of like, it was just straight rock and roll. And I loved playing with Jimmy because he has such good energy, like just good people playing music. Like, I never met someone with so much like love in their heart for everyone who could just become friends with every single person.
Probably. If I would have met Jimmy 25 years ago, I wouldn't have liked him because I didn't trust nice people back then. Mm-hmm. Somehow, you know, I trust nice people now.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're trying to get something from me. And he's just like on the short list of the nicest people.
He really is. Like, to this, like, I've known him for, I don't even know how long I've known him for now, but every time I see him, I feel really happy inside. Like, happy that he's someone who, you know, how we're saying, people who you're like happy to have had them in your life because they added something to your thing, your journey.
Also, he's a great hugger.
He is.
He's a world-class hugger. Oh, my dog just lit it up on my leg. Did you guys make records and tour?
Nope, we just played a bunch of shows. I think we had always like talked about it, but they started Caveman shortly. Like I was kind of the middleman between, him and Maddie Pickles were in the subjects. And then Caveman happened as a catalyst from Torpedo, I think, because Maddie Pickles was always a drummer, and he has a beautiful voice and is a great songwriter. And I think he started discovering that about himself around then. And I think he was just discovering that he wanted to be a singer, and it just made like sense that, you know, that Caveman kind of came out of Torpedo in some ways, you know, because the music that Caveman makes and the stuff that Torpedo was making were totally, you know, totally different things. And also I was, you know, around that time was when I met Jeremy Page, who I've done like a number of records with now, and who I was like writing a lot with, and we started making demos. And that's around when I started I think I signed to Wax Poetics not too long after that too, and just started really focusing on my solo stuff. So Torpedo was kind of like, we loved it, but it was also like everyone was scratching an itch that they needed. It wasn't necessarily the band that we were looking to, you know, to tour and all that stuff with. It was more like, I love you, you're my brothers. Like, let's make
It's
music.
funny, sometimes those are the things that take off
Yeah.
with
So our show,
intention behind them.
yeah, totally. And it was crazy because I, like, for years, even after Torpedo, people would come up and be like, Torpedo, best band ever. Like, and I'd be like, wow, like, I didn't, awesome, you know, I'd be like, cool. Like, but all the time, people would be like, when is, even now, sometimes, once in a while, I'll be out and see someone, they'll be like, Kendra, will you guys ever do a Torpedo show again? Or, and I'm just like, wow, that was like over 10 years ago. Like, yeah, we will.
Awesome. So when you signed to Wax Poetics, that's when you put out your first release just using your name?
Yeah, I had put out like a self-titled, like a demo release kind of with my, well, I had been doing those MySpace things, like self-release, and I put some, but yeah, when I signed with Wax Poetics, that was my first LP. Banshee was the first thing, like that was the first like album, my first complete work that I had ever put out was with them. And then
How
I
did
did
that feel? All of a sudden, you know, there wasn't, you know, you were operating on your own. You were working with other people, or did you write all the songs?
well, this guy Jeremy Page, who I brought up, he and I co-wrote a lot of the songs. Like I had always kind of done my own thing with the 8-track, or always been like, I've always been like I said, like don't tell me no. I'll just find a way to do it. If it's wrong to you, but it's right to me. And so I remember I was bartending, and this guy came in and he was always writing. And I was like, what are you doing? You want a shot? Tell me what you're doing. He's like, I'm a lyricist and I make music. And I was like, cool. Here, you have a shot. Tell me more. Tell me more. And then one day he came in with this CD. I was like, that's really fancy looking. That's kind of cool. Like, and I took it home and listened, and I was like, wow, it's so full. And I remember being, how do you get music to sound like that? How do you get that? And he's like, I have a producer. And I was like, I want one of those. Who's your producer? I was like, so tell me more. So we did a show together. And at the time I was playing like my guitar through a boombox. I had this like giant, like sharp GF set, like huge. I found it at a flea market.
Yeah.
And I would play my guitar through the input where usually the break dancers would plug their mic into in the 80s. But me, I was like, I'll play my guitar through it. And so I would like lug it around to like the living room and anywhere. I played it on the street once, you know, because you put in the giant C batteries.
Right.
So I played a show with this guy, and his producer was there because he played with him, and that was Jeremy Page. And I remember being like, make some music together. Like, so then that was kind of when we started working together. He lived in Boston and started coming down And that was kind of an exciting thing because suddenly it was like tapping in this new thing, these sounds, and I could, he would start building a track. And I love like, I think maybe it goes back to me and my mom in the car, but hearing those harmonies. So I love, like, he would give me a track, like, here's, or play a couple chords, and I'm like, here, I hear this, and I run in and play some vocals. And so we started doing these demos, and then they landed on Wax Poetics' desk because I had written a song that my my ASCAP guy had floated around. It wound up on CeeLo's desk, and CeeLo Green had almost picked it up as a track on the album where the FU thing. It was like that we had to send them a bunch of different versions, send them without the music, and it didn't get picked up at the last minute. Like, it didn't get used, but like it felt like such a big compliment, to have. And from that, I think that's how I got the attention of Wax Poetics, because through that, they had called me in to talk about, they were doing a publishing collaboration with this company, Notable, which, do you know Tom DeSavia? I feel like everyone in music knows this guy, Tom DeSavia.
I don't know anyone.
I but he was with this publishing company called Notable, which was the guy. It had all the Cy Coleman's catalog. So he did the song "The Best Is Yet to Come." Blah, 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 blah. And so I went in for a meeting about that and Wax, and then hit it off with Wax Poetics in the meeting, that they were like, let's just do a record together. And I was like, really? Me? And like, that was it. I signed a deal with them and then put out Banshee, and then like it kind of all started just,
That's amazing. And what you worked on? There were some remixes. I peeked at your Wikipedia. There were some remixes done, and I really want to know about this Dennis Coffee shit because I'm a fan.
Man, well,
What?
that was how the remix happened. Was Dennis Coffee was another, like, that was another catalytic. It's so weird how these things work when you look back. And
So how does someone get connected to Dennis Coffee? Because what a badass
I know he's
and legend.
oh my gosh. And when I really learned more about him, like, he's fuzz guitar. Like, he is that sound. When you hear like Scorpion, like anyone who's like, who's Dennis Coffee? I'm like, hold on, beep. And they're like, what? Like, I've been listening to him my whole life. And then knowing what he is behind,
Yeah.
like all the albums he's on. But that was weird because the first thing I put out with Wax was a 45. I did this song C-side, and Johnny Mathis was on the B-side. And we put it out through like Wax Poetics and Converse. And a lot of people, like, I mean, Wax Poetics is like an incredible magazine that it's back in circulation now, but when it had a break of circulation, but it's this amazing like magazine of like soul music, and a lot of like DJs collected this magazine. Like, probably a lot of people who collected the magazine then still have every issue wrapped up.
Right.
Like, that little, it was such a beautiful magazine. And they would once in a while put a 45 in the magazine. And that was how they introduced me, was putting the 45 in. Well, this guy in Detroit was managing Dennis Coffee at the time and was a big Wax Poetics fan. So he had heard the record, and he called the label and was like, hey, would she, like, Dennis has a few shows coming up, and we see you're going to be down at South by Southwest. Does she want to sing with Dennis Coffee? And I was like, yeah. And it kind of started like that. Like, I was just supposed to do one. I was like, okay, yes. But it started with, I was just going to sing on like one show at South by. And then I wound up getting to go and do Bonnaroo with him and did like a tour around just like I did like Chicago, did like the East Coast, and then did a couple dates in Europe with him.
What what a an incredible experience. What I mean,
Yeah.
was there like when you would pull up in a town, was there always at least a couple of notable people that would show up because of his history?
Probably the coolest thing was when we went together in London. Bobby Womack was playing, and Dennis and Bobby have a well, Bobby Womack, like, rest in peace, like, but they had like a crazy history and a weird falling out, something with a gun, like, and they hadn't seen each other since the 70s. It was like some, like, they had some beef, and I don't remember the whole story, but it was a big deal that Dennis wanted to go see Bobby at his show. It was at like House of Blues. So we all went, and I remember sitting and like I think they like talked that night, and it was just crazy knowing that like I was in a room with two like legendary
Absolute, yeah.
people. I'm feeling like, I mean, I was a fly on the wall, but just to know, and then even to be hearing like a little bit of the like that they had this, they were friends and they had this weird falling out in like the 70s or something, and then watching Bobby on stage, and like I feel like even like somebody like hit, like one of the backup singers hit a bad note or something, and Bobby was like, hold on now, like hit the, like, I can't remember, but I was just like, this is so cool. Like that was one of my favorite things, was the Bobby Womack night, and just getting to like be
Wow.
there. But yeah, even, well, that you were asking me about that remix, and that the remix was DJ Premier remixed Concrete Waves, and Dennis Coffey is the whole reason that remix happened, because this is crazy. Like, this is like, I've been thinking about, do I talk too much? I feel like I do. Sorry.
You know what? People who don't talk are a problem.
Okay. I've had like 4 coffees, so
Great.
um I was playing a show in New York, and it was right after I got the thing with Dennis. I hadn't done any of the shows yet, but I was like telling everyone, and I was super excited. So I played this show in New York, and after the show, I'm hanging out, and this like acquaintance friend showed up, and he had DJ Premier with him, and they had met on a flight that day. They happened to be sitting next to each other and like bonded and hung out on the flight. And he's like, hey, I'm going to this show in New York. You want to come? And Premier is like, okay, you know. So they missed the show, but they were hanging out. We were all like hanging out at the bar after. And my buddy's like, this is my friend Kendra. She's a singer. This is Primo, you know. And I just started talking to him, and I was like, yeah, I'm a singer. He's like, oh, sorry, I missed the show. And I was like, oh, it's cool. And he's like, so tell me about yourself. And he was so nice, you know. And this guy, another like legend, like legend. We're sitting there talking, and I'm like, yeah, I'm actually, he's like, I'd love to hear what you sound like. I was like, I'm going to be singing with this guy, Dennis Coffey. I don't know. And he's like, what? And he's like, Dennis Coffey, like, I mean, DJ Premier is one of the biggest like legendary producers and DJs in the world. And he was just like, he knew who Dennis, like he sampled him,
Yeah,
you know.
he knew.
And so he's like, all right, like I want to, like, he gave me his number right there, and we started talking, and I think I like had sent him some of my music, and we just like, he had started, like, we just started sort of just talking and emailing and texting. So then I go down to South by Southwest, and I see that Premier is in town, and I was there with the Dennis Coffey thing, and I had been talking to Wax. I was like, wouldn't it be a dream come true if like DJ Premier did a remix? And they're like, yeah, that would be crazy. So I'm messaging him, and I'm like, hey, I'm at South by Southwest. Are you here? He's like, yeah. And I'm texting, and I turn around, and he's standing behind me at the bar, and we're texting each other. And I turn around, I'm like, hey. And that's
That's what
all
happens in
happened.
South by Southwest.
Like, and then that was it. I was like, hey, I remember being like, would you ever do a remix for me? He's like, yeah. I can't remember the exact words, but he's like, yeah, sure. And like, so then like Wax Poetics also contacted him on their end, on the business end, but that's how it happened, was like serendipity, straight because of an airplane, because of Dennis Coffee in the conversation, because of like all in the timing. And because of like, right, like it was so weird.
Well, I mean, yeah, as you know, everyone knows, like you won't jump straight to a situation like that.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes some people have that kind of luck or charisma or whatever, but
Or money.
or money. Yeah, money helps. Money, a lot of money, a very big amount of money helps a lot. But most of us don't have that. So you work, you get a gig with Dennis Coffee, and then boom, wow.
Yeah. And it was just so cool because also I feel like because like I had built like a bit of a personal relationship with Primo, like that made the remix he did that much better. Like everything is better when you have a personal relationship with someone, when you're nice to someone. Like just be not like be good, be nice, and it goes a long ways. Like
I'm a golden rule guy.
yeah,
A golden rule guy. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Uh,
absolutely.
but also because you guys were friendly, if if you were his neighbor's niece, and he was like, do this remix as a favor, you know, it's not going to come out the same because he's not emotionally invested in the same way. When you're
Oh,
connected with someone, it's always better.
absolutely.
So then what?
Well, let's see. So I put out the record with them, and it has had like it did pretty well actually for a first. It did in the it still gets a lot of like I think some people still really love that album, and it was I put that out and then I did a covers record, um, and then Wax Poetics ceased to exist. Like they were no longer a label. My deal ended and I was kind of floating for a minute. So I was like, well, I'm going to just try to do this myself, which everyone says, put out your own stuff. It's really hard. Like, I actually got really, it was awful. Like, I did this EP that I self released called Babel. And oh my gosh, I get like itchy thinking about how hard it was to self release that. Like, trying to build, because basically like I had to figure out how to build my own little like way I was putting out the marketing behind it. How is it going to get heard? What's going to just everything, and using any money I could like scrounge up, like all my money, you know.
Not to mention, there's so many that there's creating the recording, writing the songs, creating the recording, coordinating musicians, often like paying people for everything that they do, creating the physical product, designing every every label, every the all the packaging. It's a lot.
It was a lot, and I will be honest, I felt really like depressed after that. I felt really like exhausted and just like it was the first time in a long time where I was just like, oh my gosh, like this, I feel like I'm just banging my head. Like I love that EP, like I love the songs on it. And it was just so hard. Like I put the vinyl out. I remember I pressed vinyl and stuff, and it was just I remember afterwards being like, I don't ever want to do that by myself again. Like I don't. I mean, of course I probably would if I, because I need to do it no matter what. I have to make music. So,
Right.
but it was a really like taxing thing to just put so much energy, be just tapping into every single like every single, just taking every, sponging everything out of myself. Like, you know, it was not easy. But
Was
it
the
happened. And
process exciting? Like seeing
ah,
that, yeah.
oh yeah, it was really exciting. It was really exciting, like making it. And then actually, one thing that I'm really proud of that record led to was I when the vinyl came out about 6 months later, and I had this crazy idea that for the vinyl release, I wanted to hand collage 50 of them. So it took me like months and months and months. I don't even know how long, but I did like these individual self portraits on the corner of each. I think I have a Bible right here. So I had them screen printed like this,
Right.
and then down on the corner, I collaged like these little apocalyptic scenes and hid myself in every one. There'd be like some with like a snake eating buildings. They were super intricate, and like they'd cover this whole corner, and then I varnished them all so that they're beautiful. And I did 50 of them. And it took, I don't even own one, but I sold them out in like days. Like I did the release and did like an art show. And I felt so proud like to sell out of those. Like I gave one to my parents. So if hopefully they'll give that back to me one day, because I don't even have one. But that was really exciting, like challenging. Like if you go on my website, you can still see them all. You go click on the Babel 50, and
Okay.
they turned out real, like it was just another just fun challenge, and something that I wanted it to be, that like 50 people would each have this one in the whole, in just one in existence. So everybody had a different one, and you have to find me in it. Sometimes I was tiny in a window, or sometimes it was like I was built into, there's me as like a Siamese twin snake, and they're all kind of really weird looking. It was cool.
Do you think you have it in you to let other people do things for you?
I'm finding out.
uh, I I think, I mean, you strike me as a person who has enough creative energy that it might not even be healthy for you to let people do shit for you. I don't know. What the fuck do I know?
I know.
I
I
know.
was thinking
I
about
kind
that
of
the other
about
day.
it.
Because I was saying, I met with someone the other day. We were just talking about videos and stuff. And I said, I could be, I might be I was like, I might be an interesting person to work with, because I maybe know myself too well. I was like, that could be like, maybe not, I, I guess I wasn't saying, I was just saying like, wasn't like a beware, but I now, because I've like had to do so much by myself, and I've had to get to know myself and learn how to do all these things, I do feel like I know myself very well. I know what I like. I mean, you can look around my apartment and see, like, this is one of my favorite colors. Like, I know the colors that I love. I just know what I like. So if someone is like, I want to do this, and I'll know right away, like, I know my no's and my yeses. And some people love that, but some people, if they have their own ideas too, that could be frustrating for them. So I do have to feel like if we work together, you should know that we should know each other very well and understand each other, because I know myself, and I know there's a lot of artists that don't necessarily know themselves, and people love that too. It's just, I just happen to have kind of been through the ringer and just always been, yeah, let me try type of person.
I think it's great.
Thank
I think
you.
it's good. It probably doesn't always feel great to be doing hold on one second.
Sure.
probably doesn't always feel great to be in that position, but yeah, I think that especially if you have a vision for something, right? If you already
Yeah.
have if you have a concept, like letting go and having someone else do that, ugh, it's the
Yeah.
I think it's the worst.
I think though what I have really been enjoying is finding other creative people that inspire me and that I work well with. And then people that you can trust, like sharing an idea with, and that they're gonna like also understand that idea and add something. I think the key is finding your special people, your team that you run with, whether they're people that make you laugh and understand you, but it also if you have a great personal relationship with people you work with, it never feels weird to be like, oh, that's not my thing.
Right.
Like you want to like learn from each other and you want to like figure a way to make it work. And if you have a great personal collection, if you have a great
Personal
person,
collection of people.
yeah, wait till you see mine. But if you have a great personal, if you have a great personal connection, then you're not gonna be bummed if someone's not into your idea. You go, okay, well,
Right. Move on.
yeah,
Do you still work with that producer? I forgot his name that you.
Jeremy, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm putting a new record out next year, and we just wrapped it up. Um, so yeah, we did the whole record together. Like he plays in my live band too. He's the guitarist, and he's great. Like I love working with him. And I also have been working with other people as well. Now I think it's important to never get comfortable with anything. That's why I got another dog, and now I have three.
it's
Crazy.
it's funny when Tucker sent me your, you know, I was like, all right, let's find a singer. He sent me your profile. He's like, I think I think this is the way you want to go. And I was like, oh. And so I went down a little rabbit hole. I watched some live performances and I texted him. I was like, how do I get that bearded fella's gig? And he goes, not gonna happen. um, but that's awesome.
Yeah, that's the guy. That's Jeremy.
Uh, so the record comes out when next year?
Well, it hasn't been announced yet, so maybe I'll tell you off camera
Oh,
later, so
okay,
we can keep it a mystery for now. But
sure.
you and me, I'll leave the secret with you. We'll know the secret date.
Mum's the
It
word.
is coming out though.
It is. Uh, and are you working on a video already?
I have an idea. I have an idea that I'm wrapping my head around right now, and
Hmm.
I think I need to bring a few friends on for this one. So I'm meeting with one friend on Monday to see if I can wrap her it around her head as well and see if
Right.
we can make it happen. But yeah, I need working on a video already. Um yeah, and like probably I want to do I mean I believe that visual and music, all that stuff, like creativity, I think like create it all goes together. And that's why I love doing videos. And that's how I got into co-op, like doing animation and stuff. Like I just I like making like I'm always like, if you ask me what do I do, I say I make stuff. I do. I make music, I make animation, I make art. I just like to make stuff. And I feel like creativity is just this thing. It's how you're working your muscle. And like for me, like I don't really I watch TV to fall asleep at night. But besides that, I like to be like flexing my muscle at all times. So if I'm feeling a little bit like exhausted, been writing a lot, been singing a lot, then I'll take a break and then that's when I go and I work on like some visual art. And it's like your brain doesn't it's still like I'm writing a song. Somehow when I go back to writing a song, I'll write a better song because it's like your brain doesn't go to sleep. Like the creativity, they like tag team each other. And so you're constantly like, once you get in that flow, you're just constantly in it. And so um I don't remember what I was saying,
Do
but
you have to keep a day job right now? Are you able to sustain yourself being creative?
yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
it was a dream. Like I said, like I've done this like I've worked every day. Like I've bartended since I was, worked in restaurants. I was a bartender for 13 years. Like I've I've licked pavement. I've done everything. I've never had like a bucket of money poured on my head. I asked and prayed for a bucket of money, but never was poured on my head.
Yeah.
And but yeah, through music, it's a combination through the music and
You had a
art.
little bit of money thrown on you in that movie,
Which movie?
with your parents' kid. Little bit of money. You said you guys made a movie, you got had some money thrown on you.
Oh wait, which?
You said when you were 9, you guys made the
Oh
movie.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, but inflation. That was like now that's like I got 25 cents.
Right. There was change.
You know. Yeah, I did. I did make some money then. You're right. Sorry. Let's go back. But yeah, no, I haven't had to do a day job. I just do balance between like I've been getting like knock on wood. There's a little wood right here, but I've been getting like a decent amount of like really cool work with the animation stuff. Like I did the animation for this really cool documentary that came out this summer about this guy Del Close, who was the like improv guru to Second City and SNL. The
Oh
movie's
wow.
called For Madmen Only, and it was the first documentary to come out. But he like trained Bill Murray. He trained like man, you name it, like Belushi, and he was just like they all like he did these. So I did like sequences of like I took all his interviews and basically recreated his interviews and his stories through collage animation. I
Whoa.
worked for like a year and a half. So I've gotten like a good deal of work through video and animation stuff and then music too.
Where can people see that movie?
I think it's about to come out on Hulu.
Awesome.
Um, but it's also on like Apple Movie
Okay.
and Amazon. And then, yeah, I think they're just about to put it up on Hulu. So,
Awesome. I want to see that.
yeah, it's a great movie. It's such a because I didn't know who he was until I got the job doing that, and then I was forced to like immerse myself in his world because I had to like really research him, and like that's why I love doing this collage animation stuff because I like researching things and like when I did the video for the guys in Kuwait, I was like, I don't want to like put them in America. Like they're like amazing hip hop guys in Kuwait. So I researched like what are the animals that I remember messaging like, what are your main animals? Where are you? I liked researching. So I built their world. They wanted like a futuristic video in the desert. So it's like flamingos. Like I didn't know there was flamingos over there or, olive trees. And like, so each project, like I've been able to learn about really cool things.
That's awesome. How I mean, you didn't move to New York thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be a collage artist or a stop motion artist," but necessity is the mother of invention. It's also a motherfucker, but it's the mother of invention, right? And uh I think it's great that if people keep an open mind, you walk, the door cracks open, you kick the door open, and here you are. You're not bartending anymore. You're being, you're making a living being creative.
Yeah, and not to like I loved like bartending was I met some of the most amazing people. I miss it just because I don't get to just run into like a Tucker rule every day or like
Sure.
like just interesting people that I got to some like we all got to cross paths or a Jimmy Carbonetti or maybe at one point you would have walked into that bar. I don't
Probably.
I miss What's up?
Probably did.
Probably we've probably met a few times. But so I do miss that, but also it was really in some ways unhealthy for me. Like I've definitely had my like ups and downs with my relationship with alcohol, and working
Sure.
in an East Village dive bar is not good for my liver.
I'm retired.
Yeah.
I'm retired. Um, I think it's important for people to hear stories like your story because not everyone is naturally built with the mindset to to just make things happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think I was at a young age, at least. Um, yeah, that's incredible.
Thanks. I guess, I'm looking back on things now because, I've always, we're in our story. We're only at the end on the day we die. And then who knows what happens after that. That's another conversation.
I've done
But
enough psychedelics to think that that ain't the end.
yeah, but I mean, looking back now, because I'm like halfway through my life and looking back, like definitely it was just like jumping in blindly and like having to just roll with the punches, and like it hasn't been easy, and it's still not. Like I have my new set of things that I deal with, but it's about like, you know, going with it, and like golden rule, be nice, be good, like keep going. But just, I don't know. Today I was just thinking in the car. I got a car in New York. That's a big deal.
Big deal. What
That's
what
big.
neighborhood are you in? Because it's not very easy to park in Williamsburg.
I'm in North Greenpoint,
There you go.
which it's still not been that easy. There's a lot of construction, so there's like no parking on weekdays until about 4 because construction workers take every spot in the neighborhood. I'm
Right.
like, do you really need 4 more condos? Take the day off, guys. Please. I would like to park here.
Not
And
gonna
the
happen.
stupid scooters are taking all the stupid Revel scooters. Everyone goes, I could ride a scooter now, and then they crash them,
Right.
and then they park them in all the parking spots. There, that's me angry. But I was driving my car today, just taking some stuff from the party back to my little workspace, and I was just thinking, like, man, I just want to like make people like, I was like just having like a weird conversation with myself because I do that a lot because I'm weird. No, I'm sure we all kind of have, but I was just like having a thing where I was like, gee golly, I really like making people feel good. Like, and I feel like if I can make people feel good, if it's like playing a show, writing a song, having a conversation, doing something, then I feel like I did my job for the day, you know? And it was just like a passing thought. It was so simple, but I was just, it made me kind of feel good to be like, I think I want to just like, I think that's kind of it's an important thing to do.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm not a very good hippie, but I do believe that uh, you know, your energy affects, you know how it is when you run into someone on the street and you have a shitty interaction. It might stay with you for, I mean, if you're a fucking
Yeah.
asshole like me, it might stay with you for half your day.
Oh
But when
yeah.
you have a great interaction, it might affect you positively in ways that you don't know, or it might make you feel so good that you do remember it.
Yeah. I totally
Hey.
I don't think I never knew what energy was, but definitely bartending. I experienced all kinds of energy. I felt some crazy bad. I felt something where I was like, I remember saying when I got home, that was bizarre. I could feel like something felt like I was like, I think somebody like murdered someone. Like I can't remember who it was, or I would call the police right now. No, I'm just kidding. But I remember times where the energy was so bad that the air felt heavy and the bar would clear. I mean, that was a once in a while thing because you also, but it really goes both like that stuff, whether it's good energy or bad energy, yes, it will stick with you.
Is there anything unexpected that you would reveal about the record that's coming out? Or do you want to keep
Mm.
everything under wraps? Or is it
Well, I don't know, unexpected, but I don't know if I had mentioned this next record is actually I'm putting out with a label. I just signed with this label, Karma Chief, and I'm really excited to be working with them. Like they're putting out like really cool stuff right now, and I was excited to not have to put this record out. So
awesome?
I was like, yes, I don't, I just was excited to have like I love the guy who runs the label is like him and then like the people that work with him. I just spent a week there hanging out and writing and just working on it. And it was just so like energizing, like felt so good. And it was exciting to be like, I feel like this is like a whole new chapter.
Where are they
So
based?
they're in Ohio. They're in the town of Loveland, which is right outside of Cincinnati. Their label is, they also are Coal Mine Records. Karma Chief is like a subsidiary, but they had put out Black Pumas originally.
Oh, rad.
They did them, Duran Jones and the Indications. Um, they've done this guy, Neil Francis, so I'm going to go on the road with him in January and do like the West Coast. So just like I'm just excited because I feel like I'm excited about the music they've had a hand in, and like I feel like they understand me. They kind of have like Terry, who owns the label. He's kind of followed along with me since Wax Poetics. He was a Wax Poetics magazine collector guy. So I feel like anyone I work with, I feel like they have to understand my crazy, weird, long story that's not over yet, and I feel like he gets that. So
Is there any aspect of being creative that you haven't tried that you want to tap into and explore?
hmm, I feel like yes, but I don't know. I think um I don't know. I feel like I'm in the middle to like I'm thinking of all the different things. Definitely not dance because that is not my creative
Yeah,
spot.
me neither.
I dance in my own dark corner and everyone stays away.
I don't even do that.
I don't know. Maybe I feel like I do, but I can't think of it on the spot right now. I
No.
think I think because I'm just really happy with like the things. There are some things like I always think it would be really cool to make a movie one day, but at the same time, that is like to think that seems crazy to me right now. Like you think about something, you're like when I think of people that make movies, I'm like, how do you turn a thought into an hour and a half and
Right.
get so and spend like how many millions of dollars? Or I think that could but I don't know, the things that I could see myself challenging myself to do, or like things maybe in 10 years I could really wrap my head around. I think I'm mostly really excited about putting out this record and then writing another one and putting out more and putting really finding a way to connect a visual world with a sonic world and somehow make it all make sense.
How do you stay excited about being a performer? Is it just built into like you have to?
Like being on the stage
Like,
and
how do you maintain motivation?
I don't I just it's just like I'm just a coffee
Yeah.
because
No, that's
I don't know, like,
inspirational.
I played a show last week. I played Mercury Lounge, and it was my first show in a while. And like, day shows are so much anxiety, you know. Like, there's just the day of a big show. There's just it was like running around. Like, I had to do a rehearsal that day. Like, but I love that feeling of like you're kind of unknown. You don't know how the show is. It's like I chase those. It's still scary sometimes. You don't I love the feeling of getting up there and being like, what am I doing? And then you do the show and you're like in this weird like other place. Like you're kind of there, but you're kind of not there, you know, like you're on a stage and you're there. You're sort of thinking, but you're also just not. Like sometimes I'm just not there. Like I'll sing and I'll be like, where did I go? And
Does
then
your anxiety go away straight away when you get on stage, or does it take a song or two?
sometimes it takes a song or two, but
Yeah.
I get crazy anxiety, and I didn't really realize how much anxiety I have until um, I I quit drinking for like a number of years, um, and suddenly I hated flying in airplanes. Like suddenly, like major like issues with airplanes, um, and also like felt the anxiety, like especially feeling it on stage, and also after the show, talking to people and feeling like there's a Jerry.
You know, dog stuff.
Sorry. Um,
A grown-up show.
I'm blushing for these guys right now. Um, but I'll sometimes feel it after the show too, like intense anxiety and like I didn't realize how much I had until like when I quit drinking because you have to feel everything suddenly, and
Right.
I realized that and I do drink again now, but I was saying to a friend, I know like when I've had too much to drink, it is because I'm medicating anxiety. Like it's when I go out and like I suddenly like I get itchy like having a conversations. I just like this is more comfortable for me sitting here and talking to you on Zoom than me in a bar. I'm suddenly like I need a shot of tequila. Like I'm having it's
Right.
all straight and then I get a hangover and I'm like I hate my life. I have anxiety, that's exactly why. And so when I don't ever drink when I play a show. Like I just that does not something that I learned hard. Like I just don't prefer. I like to be 100% present on a stage.
Yeah.
And so when I do have anxiety on a stage, it goes away by the second song. Suddenly I'm in like a place that I've always since I was a little kid loved to be. But yeah, it's after I get off the stage, it comes right back. And then it's like I'm trying to find something to do or like
Coming off stage is, I think, is a really weird post performance such a weird thing unless there are a bunch of people in your green room, whatever, and it's just like, you know, you don't skip a beat and it's as if the show never happened.
yeah.
It can be weird. It can be pretty dicey. I'm not very good at. I've gotten better over the years, but it's kind of like I think putting out your own record. You get to the end, you get to the finish line, and you're just like, "Fuck."
Yeah. It's kind of like sad. Like sometimes like I felt like a weird not a sad, it's a weird feeling after the show. Like I especially felt it when I was in Europe playing like a lot of big shows, one after the other. And I remember it would be all exciting and then I'd get off stage or I'd get back to the hotel and it would just be like so quiet. And it would be kind of nice, but also feel kind of weird and sad. Or like, yeah, you'd be in the green room, maybe by yourself with like a couple like you know, people's like the old meat over there. You know, if it's in Europe, you got like the cheese and the meats and stuff. And for me, it was a bowl of candy. But you're just like there alone with it, and it's kind of quiet. And you're putting your stuff. And it's like a weird feeling. I think. I think if we're talking about, I'm pretty sure we're talking about that same
Yeah,
feeling.
I think
Yeah,
so.
somebody like I don't remember. There was like, and I can't quote it because I can't remember who said it. It was like I don't know, a very famous comedian or something who had won a bunch of. I want to say it was like Woody Allen, but I don't think it was Woody Allen. It was someone, but anyway, someone who had won a bunch of Academy Awards, and then they said, you know, it's always weird. I won all these awards and then going and eating Chinese food alone in my hotel. Like at the end of the day, it's just you. You know, we all go to sleep alone.
Right, same thing.
Yeah,
It's a long way to the top, and it's lonely at the top.
yeah. I think it's why if you have like, I mean, I was talking to like a girlfriend. We were in this, we went and saw David Byrne actually, the musical he
The
did.
Broadway thing,
Oh my gosh, yeah, so good.
was it incredible? Is it still going? It's still going, right?
Yeah,
My
it's still.
wife is talking about wanting to go, and she's like, I like we're trying to plan maybe a weekend where we come into town.
Oh, you froze.
Are we there?
I think you froze again.
Oh, could you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah,
Were you?
yeah. You said your wife was talking about going.
Yeah, I didn't even know that it was happening, but it's on her radar, and she was like, we should go into town and let's go see this thing. I hear it's incredible.
Yeah, I even my friend got tickets and she was like, "Hey, will you go with me to this?" And I like the Talking Heads, but then I've never been like I couldn't tell you like I could tell you like a number of Talking Heads and David Byrne songs, but I couldn't tell you like da da. Da. And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." And I went and I was excited. And man, I can't tell. I don't know if it was because of all of COVID or what, but I remember the second we got off the train and we were walking in Times Square, and suddenly I was like in my New York moment, like walking through Times Square, and just the energy is still there. And then walking up along Broadway, you know, and seeing all the lights, and it just kept building. And then getting into that theater, and then seeing him like and his band, and the how like I ended up like I ended up crying like 4 times. Like I'd be like, and I'm not a cry like I'm not a crier. Like I'll cry, you know, but I don't know if it was because of just being around like the like energy was so you could feel it. And when he stood at the end and was getting like standing ovations, I got like chills just seeing him up there and being like, that man is like, he is in his like dream moment right now. Like, if people had roses, they would have thrown them. And I was like, what a feeling to watch this. And like, everybody was so grateful to be like sharing that moment and to like hear these songs and see like that he came up with this idea from his noodle. You know, he comes up with this idea and says, I'm going to put on a show and the band is going to, you know, do all the movements, and we don't need like a crazy set, or we don't, just to see like someone take an idea and then to put it there like that. And I was just grateful for that, being at that show and getting to feel all that stuff. And it
When was that?
was maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh, awesome.
You should definitely go. Absolutely.
I've only ever seen him perform once. It was we went and saw the Roots block party.
Oh, nice.
It was him and Alicia Keys and fuck, who else? Fuck, Wu Tang.
Wow. You know, just Wu Tang.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Roots, you can throw a block party like that, I suppose. Um, well, listen, an amazing time talking with you. This is great.
Me too.
I would love to have you sing in another video if you're ever interested in the future.
Yeah, I had a blast anytime.
When your new music comes out, I'll share it? I'm sure I'll see it on social, but will you send me links if you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send it to you even a little ahead of time.
Amazing, great. You seem like you may possibly be a person that has their shit together enough that you might have some photos of yourself performing on hand.
Yes.
Would you
Yeah.
send me a few that I could use to edit for thumbnails?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'll go through my. I do. I have maybe there's some floating around from last week, maybe. But I think there's some better ones. I'll find you a few for sure.
Awesome. I'm going to stop the recording.